Hi guys. First of all, I just want to say it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me today. Sounds like there's a lot of great work. God's doing great things in this space amongst all you all. So yeah. So now I just wanted to say that. So I'm here to be talking. My name's Stephen Boakye. I'm here to be talking about the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So yeah. Without further ado, let's get to it. Next slide, please. So. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit more about myself. One of the main reasons in terms of why I'm here today is because I created and I'm the co-founder of Cornerstone Partners, which is an angel syndicate. We're going to get into that. And then I'm really just going to go through the basics and like the key fundamentals of entrepreneurship, our experiences, what we've seen, and hopefully we can draw out just some key takeaways from this. So yeah, next slide, please. Awesome. So I'm gonna get sick and tired of saying my name. So this is the last time, I promise. So yeah, Stephen. I have over 10 years risk and compliance and anti-financial crime. I started my career at the FCA as a private investigator, investigating market abuse, insider dealing. Here underwent training from search warrant training, Bloomberg, London Stock Exchange, which was really great opportunity for me, really good starting place, but always told that it's best to get some industry knowledge. So I actually went out into industry where I had worked for the likes of HSBC, Lloyd's Banking Group, and currently at a company called DWS, which is the asset management arm of Deutsche Bank. So my specialism is within customer risk assessment, onboarding, reviewing, monitoring, exiting clients, highlighting, identifying risks in all transactions that are harmful to the business in any way, shape, or form. Co-founder of Cornerstone Partners, which I'm going to touch on the next slide, and I'm also a self-certified angel investor and a member of the UK BBB. A little bit more background from a personal standpoint: born and raised in South London, Mitcham. I am married with two children. I'm the middle of five children, and I'm a member of Living Word Ministry International. It's in Brixton, where I'm part of the worship team, and I give the occasional word. But I think more importantly, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm just going to let that bit sink in. I don't need no one to comment on that unless it's all positive. And that's about it. So yeah, so then without further ado, let's talk about Cornerstone Partners. Next slide, please, P. Thank you. So Cornerstone Partners, yeah, we are an angel syndicate. Made up of 20 partners where we invest in Black and diverse businesses. So we were originally established in 2016, where I noticed a number of friends of mine who were doing really well in their respective fields, but it was more about everyone just doing individual what do you call it? This individual greatness, and it was about how can we bring that together to do something a bit more special. So I called upon my most successful friends in my circle, and I was like, guys, man, we should look to do something just in general. I'd be lying if I said I knew what Cornerstones would be today, but I'm very glad that we've got here. So we initially started by pooling together £5,000 each between the six of us. So that was £30,000, and we were testing the waters in terms of what we could look to invest in and all of these different areas. But so then over a period of time, we started thinking about, okay, not only how can we utilize this capital and empower ourselves, but we started seeing that our community, the wider community, needed the same type of help, if to be honest, if not more. So that led us to start our angel network. So we went out to our network, and we grew from 6 to 20. And we actually became the first angel syndicate in the UK to invest solely in Black and diverse founders. So for those of you that don't know what angel investing is, the easiest way to describe it is if you think of Dragon's Den. And this is where, high net worth individuals are investing in people's businesses for a percentage of their business. But this is also known as what we call seed money. So seed money comes in different shapes and sizes. These are people that have, friends and family that are able to provide initial startup cost, and then there are the actual seed venture firms, capitals that do similar things, and then you also have angel funding as well as crowdfunding as well. So this is where people are going out to the wider community on platforms, and they're raising money that way. So that's what angel investing is. And we created that in January 2018, and then following on from there, what we realized is that we were seeing a lot of amazing businesses, but there was a lot of basic things that we felt that for companies that were doing so well that were missing. And it just could be stuff on accounting or legals, or they hadn't set the companies up correctly. And what we'd realized is that even though our community was made of amazing individuals that could do amazing things with very little, there was still a lot that we needed to teach ourselves in order to really start to move the needle. So what we did, and we created the first accelerator program, which was the first of its kind in Europe. What we found is that aside from accessing funding for Black and diverse founders, it was about giving them access to key things such as network, mentorship, information on structuring your company, legals, how to hire a great team, raise institutional funding, all of these things. So we took 20 businesses and we took them on a 9-week program where we were able to instill all of this information, all of this wisdom, and really help them, reevaluate their businesses, strengthen them, enhance certain areas, and identify different opportunities and ways of funding for them. So that was received really well, and we finished that up in 2019. So currently, where we are today, we've invested just over £750,000 pounds in UK and in UK Black and diverse founders. We've seen over 200 businesses, of which we've invested into 11 of those. We also do debt financing, and debt financing is where we've been able to provide loans, and this is where companies again have been able to do really well in what they're doing. Unfortunately, though, for whatever reason, they're getting rejected at the bank in order for business loans to help them scale their business or move to the next, move to a bigger office, or take on another event or what have you. So we've been able to provide funding for those individuals. Our check sizes are between 50 to 100,000 on average, and currently we're actually about to commission a groundbreaking report, which is about identifying just how many Black and diverse founders have achieved venture capital funding. So venture capital is the next stage in the business, and this is where we look at what we would call institutional funding. So angel funding is where you have individuals, high net worth individuals that are able to provide capital, and then you go to institutional funding, and this is where you get a lot of the larger banks, government bodies that are able to invest far more, or VC companies, venture capital companies that are investing up to millions pounds to really help you start to move your business for a percentage of your company. But what we're finding is that less than 2% of that funding is going to Black and diverse founders. So we're just trying to find out exactly why, what are the reasons, and we also have our own aspirations of becoming a VC fund. So we're actually in the process of raising institutional funding ourselves, so we can do this on a much bigger scale. We're looking at our first fundraise is going to be for £40 million, where we're going to be investing in Black and diverse founders like we said, on a larger scale, where we hopefully be able to invest millions as opposed to hundreds of thousands into these companies. The general overall goal of Cornerstone is really just to give our community more access to funding in an aim to provide that more generational wealth and influence in the long term. Awesome. Next slide, please.
Great. We have two very quick questions, and I don't know if you want to just continue or not, but the first one was...
No, take the question, sure.
Yeah, okay. So one of the questions here says, did you essentially start off by lending the 30k cash to start up businesses? That's the first one.
So we started by lending 10,000 of the 30k to an established company. So, well, we say established. So what it was a money transfer company in Ghana that specialized in money transfers across West Africa. PayAngel was the name of the company, and what they were looking to do with the 10,000 is really just scale up their technology. So as they were growing, they were getting more demand, but then the website kept crashing, so they needed more help quite quickly. So we were able to provide somewhat of a stopgap of funding. So then what we would do while that money is, and then we'd have an interest payment. So you'd be paying back the interest on that loan for the 12-month period, which is our average time, and then you would pay back the principal amount at the end of that. So yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, and then the next one was there an incentive in businesses using your funding versus getting a loan from the bank? And were you not really concerned with people who had bad credit as well?
Awesome, great question. So first of all, one of the main reasons why we become as successful as we are is because people are getting denied in our community for these type of loans and businesses for this access to capital in the first place. So by the time people come to us, what we tend to find is that they'd already gone to the banks, they'd already gone to different aspects and tried a couple avenues, and it was a case of, oh wow, so there's this group of individuals here that actually focus on specializing in lending for Black businesses. So in terms of our rates and everything else like that, nothing special. However, what we were saw, and this goes as opposed to bad credit and everything else, which is a really good question, because one thing for us, we're not a bank, so if we lose our money, we lose our money. So we have to be very, very particular in terms of the type of businesses we back, and so we do. So there is a process. So once we've seen the initial founder and the business, we then move to what we call the due diligence stage, and this is where we dig a lot deeper into the finances, the cash flow of the business, the sales, and that's just to ensure that this business is in a position to a good position or is less likely to fail or default on the So but spend a lot of time in that area because like you said, if we were to lose the money, it's gone. Yeah,
exactly. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, so what is entrepreneurship? So the textbook is the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risk and hope for profit. But for us, I think we find that entrepreneurship comes in so many different shapes and sizes. A lot of people are entrepreneurs that don't even know they are. It could be the auntie that sells suya. Wow, at the cleaning job, or the handyman uncle that is doing some additional work. That's just gaining an extra aspect of income. These are all entrepreneurs in their own right. But in terms of and nowadays, if I'm going to be completely honest, people like to throw around the term entrepreneur. They could be doing anything, or I'm a founder of this, or I'm an entrepreneur of that. But to be completely honest, it's really about creating a sustainable and scalable business, where you're taking on the risk of in any shape or form, and you're hoping to grow this to scale and make a profit in doing so. So for me, when I think of entrepreneurs, there's a number of things, but I have what I call my cornerstone, definitely pun intended, kind of phrases in terms of the entrepreneurship journey. So Walt Disney, and his is the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Guys, I can't emphasize in terms of how real regret is. Regret is a very, very real thing. There's two things in life that I regret. One is not creaming my feet more when I was in college and uni. So I don't want to talk about it, but it's a very personal thing. The second thing is I had an idea in college, and this was you see the NY fitted hats that everyone was wearing at a period of time. I was always like, why isn't there one that had for Londoners? We should have LDN hats and all this kind of stuff. And I told a few friends, they're like, Stephen, this is amazing. You can do it. I did a bit of research, a little Google here, and then I kind of left it to and I just kind of let it fall by the wayside. And about 6 to 8 months, it wasn't even that long afterwards, Dizzy Rascal had actually done something quite similar and had made, 7-figure profit on it. And I don't know why, but it really, 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 really burnt me, because it was something that at the time I was passionate about. It was something at the time I knew I could do. I thought about, I had the idea, I had, access to resources and everything else, but I never started. and that was one of the things for me that really just changed my mindset in terms of, you know what, Stephen, I'm always going to just do it. You know, so like the regret of failure is far less than the regret of just not trying in the first place. So you know, that is my first thing, like, key takeaway for everyone. If you're thinking about a business and you're passionate and it's been on your mind for a while now, like, there's probably a reason why it's on your mind. You know, sometimes God puts things on your heart, you don't know why. And it's really important sometimes to just follow through, because what you'll find is even if it doesn't work out, at least you tried. And so sometimes, not every day play it safe. Sometimes, you know, this is where you start to take on what we call the risks of the entrepreneurship world. Second, be stubborn on vision but flexible on details. Now, this has come from the richest man in the world, and the reason why being flexible on details but stubborn on vision is so important. When I look at Cornerstone, in terms of how we started, you know, as I'd already said, for my own admission, what we are today is not what I originally thought we were going to be. However, I just knew that, you know, in order for us to persevere, in order for us to keep going, we were going to be something special. We were going to be something unique, and we were going to make a difference. And now doing that, and people are like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, so amazing. But at the same time, guys, like, this wasn't always the story. Cornerstone has been going for 5 years. You know, and there's been lots of up and downs, been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of, you know, key moments which could have been the end of Cornerstone. But the reason it wasn't is because we kept going. Was we knew that in making an impact and, you know, this creating this generational wealth opportunity for our community was far more important than any of the setbacks and issues that we had. So it's about just, you know, continuously, you know, keep going. But you never know what these things might look like in terms of in the interim. And finally, Oprah, who I'm a bit on the fence with in terms of as an individual, however, very successful in her own way. And she talks about, don't worry about being successful, but work towards, you know, being significant, and successful naturally follow. And peace, like you gave, you were talking earlier about, you know, not lusting for money, not lusting for, you know, different things, being of that of the world. And it's about just having a pure love and desire for what it is that you do. The funny thing, I had the pleasure of listening to the session last week where I think it was Esther and sorry, the name eludes me, but I'll come to it. Don't worry, you're part of my project. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And your businesses in terms of, you know, like you know, whether it was the therapy or whether it was, you know, like the books for these young beautiful black girls and their hair. It's just about, like, that was a passion. It was something that they were already doing, and it was about, you know what, during these things, and we're going to touch on the difficulties of starting, but it was something that they were passionate about. It was something that, you know, they knew that had to make a difference, and it was something that they'd seen and were frustrated in, and that was a driver. But then, you know, off the back of that, their success will come. Their success, and you know, the finances, everything flows. But why this is such an important thing is because there are times where it doesn't work out. There are times where you're not making any money. There are times where it just seems so long, the late nights, and you just start to question yourself, is it worth it? And if you're doing this for something that you don't like, you tend to find that you're much easier and you're more likely to give up in these situations. So it's just something to just bear in mind going forward.
Just a quick question before you move on. What do you think really stops people from being entrepreneurial?
Fear.
What puts people off entrepreneurship?
Fear.
Yeah.
I think fear is, well, clearly from the devil and such, but I think fear of failure, fear of fear of losing, just fear of time wasting, fear that it's not going to be enough, fear that the difference isn't gonna make it, fear that you're not good enough. It comes in all these different shapes and sizes, you know, people, because, you know, sometimes people can be seen as, oh, well, you're lazy, and it's like, yeah, but, you know, you come across that, but it's because you don't want to try, you don't want to start in the first place in order to do stuff, and also like just lack of self, which is part of a wider thing. It's just, you know, once you know who you are, as an individual, it makes it so easy to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, you know, criticism, what you're able to do, what you're not able to do, all of these things. But the biggest driver in terms of why people don't start or people don't become entrepreneurs in the first place, who want to become entrepreneurs, is fear.
Thanks.
No problem. No problem. So why become an entrepreneur? And so there are many reasons why people become entrepreneurs in the first place. However, there are what we tend to find is that these are the four main buckets which people tend to fall in. And this is again, 9 to 5 doesn't work. You know, nowadays, back in the days,
we've ever had. We had the best economy we've ever had. We had the best stock market we've ever had. Which, by the way,
Hello, can you mute yourself, please?
So in terms of these, so from a 9 to 5 perspective, back in the day, what people found is that, you know, having a career was definitely the way forward. People would work in their companies. It was very common to hear someone had been, you know, in a company straight out of school and, you know, retired there. You've got people working 40, 50 years, they retire, they have their nice pensions, and that's the case. But as time's gone on, more and more uncertainty in the world, these quote unquote corporation jobs have become less and less, you know, secure, less and less sustainable, and it's forcing people to start thinking of potential other avenues in terms of what it means to be financially free, or just, you know, and having that security in doing it, doing themselves, having the freedom to do what they want for themselves. Legacy. This is a really interesting one. And this is about, you know, the choosing to leave something behind for your, you know, your kids, your family, your community, or whatever the situation is. And what we tend to find is, you know, this is one of the key buckets where generational wealth starts to become acquired. It's about, you know, stuff that can be left, you know, for the generation behind you to build up. It's about putting foundation in place. It's not just in terms of, okay, cool, great name and all this kind of stuff like that, but, you know, we think about some of the greatest innovators of our time. You know, Steve Jobs. A lot of people will actually be surprised that he's actually been passed for 9 years. It's actually been 9 years since Steve Jobs passed away, but yet, you know, Apple is one of the most, I think, the second richest company in the entire world, and that's because his legacy will continue to live on in ways and means that are just, you know, mind blowing. Impact. So it's about just wanting to make a difference, and, you know, as Christians, we are called to make a difference. It doesn't necessarily have to be in regards to entrepreneurship, but just making an impact in general. My wife was complaining that I don't use enough Bible verses because I left them all to the end. So just to make her happy, I'm going to throw one in here for the impact aspect, and that is Matthew 5:13-16, and it talks about, you are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anyone except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to the whole house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that way they see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Amen. And the reason why impact is so important is that irrespective of whether you choose the entrepreneur route, you choose the full-time route, or whatever it is that you're doing, you know, your role as a Christian is to go into a place and make a change. And make a change for the better, and make a change that God has called you to make a change. You know, he gave us all a mandate, and that's to go and spread the gospel. Now, it doesn't have to be literally preaching on the streets, but it's something about when people see, okay, you know, certain individuals, that there's something different about them, and they're drawn to that light. So impact is a massive one for me. And opportunity, and this is where a majority of entrepreneurs where we tend to see, and that's about identifying a problem experienced by the masses, offering an effective solution. You know, and again, when I was thinking of listening to, you know, Esther Yoke, it was about, you know, the frustration in terms of whether there aren't enough black people able to see therapists, or, you know, like there's no literature that is helping girls understand falling in love, you know what I mean, and how to treat their hair, and it was about, and there's an opportunity here. But then at the same time, it's very, very important to understand, guys, just because you see an opportunity, there is still preparation. And when people talk about success and all this kind of things, there's a very, very clear message which says where preparation meets opportunity. My best example of this I like to give is David. So when David slayed Goliath, obviously, you know, people were looking at him, this young boy, what are you doing here? You know, what is the point of you being? And when Saul had asked him, he was like, why are you here? Why do you think you can do this? And he was like, well, you know, I've been preparing for this, you know, long before long before this opportunity had presented itself. I'm looking after my dad's sheep. I had been slaying bears and lions and protecting them, so I know exactly what to do. And had he not had that experience, had he not been in that position, when the opportunity presented itself, he wouldn't have been able to take full advantage of it. And it's just about knowing yourself as well, having the right expertise, having the right understanding, still working towards a goal, irrespective of how hard that goal may be. When I was at HSBC, there was a really, really great marketing campaign, and it talks about how many late nights does it take to become an overnight success. And what you have to understand is that you're walking in faith, you're walking into your blessing, you're walking into your destiny. And as you're doing that, so the doors will be open, but it's a case of, are you best placed to walk through those doors when the time comes? And also I just want to, and also that it can also be a combination of these things. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be limited to one particular bucket. It can be a combination of these things. And it's also just good to understand that, sometimes people are even forced to become entrepreneurs. People in order to have to support families or whatever the situation is, people are now forced to take on an entrepreneur role. So, but these tend to be the main buckets. Yeah.
So that was some powerful points there about opportunity, being prepared basically to meet opportunity. I had a question off the back of that, which was, how long does somebody prepare? There's some people who've had ideas, and it seems like they've been perpetually working on an idea for like forever, right? And is there any? Do you have any word on that? Like,
yeah. I guess in terms of, but then we need to look at what it is, because sometimes like we need to look at what is the idea, and is the idea just an idea? Is it in your head? Have you taken steps to write it down? Have you taken steps to put a plan in place? Have you taken time, like made some real sacrifice about bringing this to life? Yes. So one of the things that, people talk about, like, from a technology perspective, where a lot of entrepreneurship is happening around, there's something called an MVP, which is called a minimum viable product. And it's about, you have to get to a certain level where people will even begin to take you serious, because until you have created what we would call a minimum viable product, it's just an idea. So
just to clarify, a minimal viable product, is like what, a prototype, a small version of what you're planning.
Version. It can be a snippet. It can be a tinier percentage of what it is you're doing. So even if I'm looking at again, sorry, like Esther, okay, you guys are going to feature hard in this because everyone knows you guys. But in terms of the brand, the logo, the website, all of these things, or like the initial draft of the book, because now it's about, okay, cool, this is serious now, this is something you've taken time on, you're working towards actively, as opposed to, okay, I have a really good idea about, this therapy business I'm trying to build, and it's like, okay, that's great, that's a great idea, cool, okay, so where can I find you? Okay, well, there's nothing. Oh, okay, cool, so show me what you're doing. Yeah, and that's the difference. So it depends on, an idea is an idea, and an idea is just an idea until you make it something more. Awesome, thanks. And then so this is the great. So this is one of my more favorite slides, and it's about what they don't tell you. And the thing is, a lot of people now, the word entrepreneurship has become very glamorous. Everyone's talking about how great it is, what we enjoy about it. And again, it's very clear that when people talk about what people see, but what most people don't see is, and this is what they call the iceberg effect. And what people don't see is the honest, the realness of what it takes to become an entrepreneur. People talk about already being in full-time roles, but then this is another full-time job, and like working, we talk about your 9 to 5, that helps pay the bills, but then the 5 to 9 is the difference that is really going to help you break away. And this is the difference, and this is about the complete sacrifice. We talk about this the mindset growth, the disappointment, the persistence, the goals, the time management, all these things. Like for myself, being part of Cornerstone has been great, but the sacrifice that has been to me, my family, the tens of thousands of pounds that we have been investing into this it's reasons why, we're not moving into a bigger house, or we don't go on as many holidays, or, we haven't bought new cars. Like there's real sacrifice that a lot of people don't see, but You know, when they see you out and about, it's like, oh, that's great. Oh, you're doing so well. It's like, yeah, it's all good. But the truth is, guys, is that, you know, this is not for the weak. You know, like entrepreneurship is not for, and like, we're talking about serious entrepreneurship. You know, like there are ways and means of creating other streams of income while still in your comfort zone, while still working smart, while still working alongside, you know, like your full-time job. And it's really about, and this is what I'm talking about, understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve. Because sometimes for organic growth, things can just naturally become bigger than you want them to be. But then there are people that, you know, really have a distinct, you know, goal, aim, that they want this to outlive them, or, you know, they want this particular idea to take them out of their full-time job and all that kind of stuff. And you can start to see the difference in terms of how bad people want it. And I just think it's important that we just understand that, okay, you know what, this, before starting, is this something that you do want to go? Because what you will need to understand in the role of entrepreneurship, there's always going to be a reason to quit. You will always find a good reason to stop what you're doing. Like if I woke up today and I thought about, you know, like the 10, I could think of 10 reasons why I should stop Cornerstone right now and just pull my money out and just go live my life. But it's about finding the reasons and aligning yourself to something that is bigger than you. And this is why, you know, it's important to understand that, you know, it's about making an impact. It's about being significant first, because once you do that, and once you look around and see what it really takes, these are going to be the things that help you pull through. Awesome. Thank you. So the key traits of an entrepreneur. So, I did want to say crazy, but unfortunately, that was not really going to be useful for the presentation. But I think the first and foremost is tenacity. And tenacity is basically, it's about not quitting as soon as they hit an obstacle. You know, they find ways of pushing forward. It's about being determined. It's about being focused, and it's about wanting this. How bad, and if you want something bad enough in all things, you know, you are going to be willing to do more in order to get your goal. Because, you know, as I've already said, you know, like the role of an entrepreneur is difficult. It's difficult, and there should be no there should be no sugarcoating it. It is hard to be an entrepreneur. It is tireless to be an entrepreneur. It is difficult to be an entrepreneur, and it takes a level of determination. In order to be able to push through barriers that you never thought you'd ever have to push through, or things that you never have to face, and you'll learn a lot about yourself during this process. So first and foremost, tenacity is, you know, I have to highlight that a lot. Passion. The reason why I put this at the middle is because the passion is able to really help you move. Help you grow in areas where there's nothing. Passion is the thing that, you know, lets you look out into the future where there's nothing there, but you know that, you know, like this is something that you're going to be able to drive. You know, for Cornerstone, the passion is to empower the Black community through generational wealth. In doing that, regardless of what it is, that is what we're passionate about. That is what our focus is about, and that is what drives every single decision. That is what drives every single action. That is where we apply the most focus. Is that how is this going to help us achieve our goal of what we love in, you know, empowering our community through generational wealth. You know, okay, I believe it was in terms of educating, you know, young girls to understand and loving their hair journey. You know, this is amazing. You know, Esther, whether it's, you know, providing another option for Black people who, you know, we already have issues about talking about mental health, mental well-being, and having the option of, you know, speaking to someone who looks like you, has more understanding about what it is that we're going through. And that's a passion about that. Like these are passions. This isn't about money. This isn't about, okay, yeah, we want to be rich and stuff like that. And these are the passions that lay the foundation for you to build on. So passion, very, very key in all that you do. And then finally, risk taker. You know, I think this picture is a little bit extreme, but, you know, I just really liked it, so I had to put it in here. And this is about, you know, not being afraid to take risks. You know, and it's not to say that you're being reckless. It's about, you know, having calculated risk, you know, but understanding the difference between the risk versus reward. And it could be risk in terms of, you know, can you afford to lose this much at this moment in time? You know, can you afford to So, like risk losing potential friendships. You don't see what you're saying. Can you afford to risk, like a lot of time spent on this? Can you, because these are risk in some way, shape, or form, and these are all risks that people are taking, and they look different, they sound different, they feel different to different people at different times. But just know that there is a form of risk, a heightened form of risk for entrepreneurs. In order to want to create something, and these tend to be, having a combination of these three is very, very, very important. And then guys, for us, so yeah, final thoughts. And before I get to the final thoughts, I do just want to say that I know this is all about entrepreneurship and everything else like that, but it's not by force. Like some people are not called to be entrepreneurs. There are people that are working in full-time positions, and that's great. So like they are very successful in what they do. Like they are doing well, and they are working towards leadership positions. And so don't feel that you have to be an entrepreneur. I know that people outside, or on social media, they'll gas you into thinking, yeah, like if you're not an entrepreneur, what are you doing? And seeing these type of things, it's not by force. I think one of the things that I do like, a story that really, really resonates with me about this. So when I was at the FCA, there was a graduate intake that we were talking about, and there was a graduate that was due to join our team, and what it was, he was part of a band, and this band was of 4 friends, and they've been working hard. They've been trying to make it as a band, but it wasn't working. But obviously, they're still in uni. They had all good jobs. They were all due to start their internships on this particular year, but then they had got called up that summer to, there's we can open up at the Virgin Festival, the V Fest, the V Fest, and they did it. And they were like, all right, guys, what we're going to do, like, let's just, give this our best shot. This is going to be really great. And then, we'll call it a day. Then, we're going to start our careers, and we'll be happy in what we do. So the last day of the festival, they were approached by Sony, who actually wanted to sign them. And they signed the band. And the bass guitarist was actually like, you know what, guys, this is great, but I don't want to be in the band. I want to be an accountant at PwC. And they were like, no, bro, like, this is for no, this is great. I love what I'm doing, but I really want to be an accountant. It's something I've worked towards. I really enjoy it, and so I think it's important just so that that, guys, it's not by force that being entrepreneurs, and don't let people force you or tell you otherwise. And then, but if you do believe the world of entrepreneurship is for you. And this is particularly for us as a community, and these tend to be the most common ones. And I say this because we are a community that tend to, are less likely to have mum and dad throw us, 20, 50,000 pounds to start a business and, see how it goes. So it's about starting small. But just know, but the key word is start. And this is what I was talking about earlier, MP, to your point, in terms of like an idea and how long does it go. But start, like, what are you doing with this idea? Are you moving? Like small beginnings are always the best thing. Cornerstone started on a WhatsApp group, and what a lot of the guys won't tell you, it actually took me about 6 months to get them to even want to come and join the conversation, because there was no plan. It wasn't, guys, we're going to do this. It was, guys, look, I believe that if we come together, we'll be able to do something great. Let's do something great. And it was on WhatsApp, and it was slowly building, and it took us about 18 months to the point where we had the £30,000 in the bank from the initial conversations. And it was just about starting, continuously going on. Start small. And so the verse that really resonates with me again, Matthew 17:20, where it reads, he replied, but because you have little faith, but truly I tell you, have faith as small as a mustard seed, and you can say to this mountain, move from here to here, and it will be moved. Nothing is impossible. And this is the fact of what I'm saying, guys, is that when God puts certain things on your heart, it's very important to be open to these things. It's very important to understand, and there's different times. Obviously, you think there'll be times where you think you have a great idea, and that's it, and you can keep going. And there are some people, entrepreneurs. Me myself, my friends are quite entrepreneurial, and we had done a number of things prior to this, different investments that had failed and all this kind of stuff. At one point, in uni, I was ready to leave uni because we were going to Nigeria to open up a waste management company, like all these different things. However, but when this thought of Cornerstone came to me, it had stuck with me for a while, and it was something that I knew I had to act on. And praise be to God, this is where we are today. Number two, stay focused, guys. Oh my goodness, this by far, yeah, for me is the most important of what it is that we're doing. And it's like you need to not watch face. Don't look around you. Like we're in a place nowadays where, you've got people that will make you feel some type of way, that will make you question yourself. You'll start to think, oh, am I doing enough? This person here is doing great. This person here is doing great. You don't know everyone's journey. And the thing is, the main thing that you can do is just focus on your own journey. Like everyone is so worried about what other people are doing that you actually don't end up working on what you're supposed to be doing. And you just keep your head down, focused. If this is what you've been called to do, then let that be what you're called to do. Everyone is due to be great in their own way. And Proverbs, 4:25 is really simple. It says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you." And like it's not about, we're not here to look at what other people are doing in that. We're not here to look at what the competition says. We're not here to look at what people's opinions are. Stay focused, work hard, and you will start to see the results. And finally, be patient. These things take time. Again, Cornerstone, 5 years, guys. And like there were, and we've had 100 reasons to stop, quit, and all these kind of things like that. But it's just a case of, like trusting the process. Be calm, have faith, trust the process. God, if you believe God is with you in this, then, it will become apparent. So it's a case of, look, let's not be here for this, quick money, quick flip. Everyone's moving quick and all these kind of things. That doesn't necessarily have to be your portion. Like serious things take time. You can't rush. I think one of the great things Warren Buffett said is that you can't have a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Guys, trust the process. That's what you want. Just trust the process. And finally, Romans 12:12, let your hope make you glad. Be patient in the time of trouble and never stop praying. And that's in good and bad things. And I think with all of these things, all these combinations, these are the final thoughts I just want you to take away. If you believe entrepreneurship is for you, start small, stay focused, be patient, and trust in God, and the rest is history. So guys, that is that brings me to the end of my presentation. And so now I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. That was a very rich presentation. Some solid principles in there. So there's a question here that somebody has written. And guys, by the way, if you do have a question, you can unmute yourself and actually speak your question. But I'm going to read this first question here, which says, how long should you give a business to succeed? And what would you tell someone who has been trying to build their business for years with little to no success or no results?
Great questions. Okay. I feel that, so I'll take the first one first.
Yeah. It's actually combined like as a one question, but yeah.
So to be completely honest, it really varies, because what you'll tend to find is that it takes a very honest conversation with yourself, because there are some people that have had a business idea or been working on it for numbers of years, but when you get under the bonnet and you say working on it, well, what do you do? Oh, well, between 6 and 8 on Saturdays, I've given this, like my all. So 2 hours every week for the last 7 years, and I haven't seen any results. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's put it this way: if you wanted to achieve certain goals at the gym, and whether you're trying to lose weight, build muscle, what it is, do you think going to the gym 2 hours in a week is going to get you to your goal? No. And this is where we talk about the whole being honest with yourself. First and foremost is that everyone will feel that they are, working their hardest, or, they're doing their best. But sometimes you really have to strip it back, and you have to be very honest and open with yourself. Like, am I really giving this my all? Because the word says you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And guys, it's as simple as that. You will reap what you sow. There are people now that are growing businesses in a matter of months, and that's because their every waking hour is given to that. And there are people who it has taken time and time, but once you really ask them what are they doing, they're not doing anything. So So for me, so that's the first question. And I want to lead that into the next question in terms of, how long do you give it until, how long do you give it
Yeah.
until
No
it's time?
results. Like someone's been working on it, or they think they have anyway, and little to no results.
So, and again, I guess this is what we're saying is that they think they have. So it's a case of, okay, guys, like, what are you actually doing? Let's sit down. Let's really, really understand what it is you're doing. What is your process? What does your daily routine show that you're doing in this? Because sometimes, like you may have had a moment, and you may have had a season where you've given it your all for a small period of time. However, what does that really mean? But then you've left it for 2 months, and then you come back to it, or then you picked it up, or then you know what, like, you're talking to someone, it's like, oh yeah, let me go back to that. So it's a case of, if you are giving this truly your all focus, and it's something that you truly believe in yourself, and this is and this is what I'm saying, guys, don't don't mess yourself around. Like, you owe it to yourself to be honest,
Mm.
because a lot of people who have said, oh Stephen, but it's not working, and it's this and hard, and it's like, okay, but when you strip back, there's a friend of mine, and she's been she's starting a fashion label, and I was like, okay, cool, how's it going? You ordered 3 dresses, and I think, it wasn't really going well. Okay, I haven't posted in 6 months. Oh, Black Pound Day is coming up. You know what? Let me post and let me drive it business. That business deserves to be successful. It doesn't. You don't deserve to be successful with this particular business, because you're not giving this business the time in which it deserves in order to get to reap the results that you want. And
Yeah.
guys, that's what it is in life. So so it's a case of, but and finally, for the few cases that people genuinely are giving it all that they are, they are giving it the right amount of time, but they're still not seeing results. As long as it is not causing any sort of major financial burden, as long as it's not, like, breaking any, fundamental relationships,
Yeah.
there's nothing, because as long as there's a passion in it and you enjoy it, there's still the opportunity of something becoming of it later.
Yeah.
But please don't work yourself into debt in order to do something. Don't like, start, becoming a hermit, and like, just moving away from people, breaking down relationships for the sake of everything. So that's what I would say to those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, even building on what you said earlier on MVPs, I think that speaks to the idea of no results. So part
Yeah.
of like a minimum viable product,
Yeah.
part of the reason why you want to create a small idea is so you can test it. So I feel like a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this in times past as well, where you're working on something for so long, but you haven't put it out there, so you don't know that it's failing early.
Ex-
So, like the Silicon mantra, for example, is to fail early.
Yeah. Fail
Well,
fast. Yeah.
and failing doesn't mean giving up. It's like putting it out there, testing it, refine it, fail again, refine, fail
Exactly.
again, refine. Yeah, and then you start getting results.
Exactly. Because the thing is that you'll be surprised how great you think your result is in your head, or the ideas in your head, and people just have this illusion that, this idea, I haven't done it yet, but as soon as I do it, everyone's gonna love it. Who told you?
Exactly. After years of working on it, and you could have put it
Exactly.
out in a month. MVP.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
so sorry, go on.
no. No. Just to your
Okay, so
point.
I'm just gonna read the comments that I guess is written. So it said started/invested in a business this year, then lockdown. My business lost money and has flatlined. But I am determined to go back and build it up. The potential for my business is great. Thanks for the session. So
Amazing.
that's just a word of encouragement and thanks. And a question there: how did you manage to grow a bigger capital from the initial money you raised to invest in businesses?
Awesome. So again, it was over a period of time. So we started with the original 6 of us, where we had, 30,000 invested in a number of different businesses, and it was about, how do we look to scale. So when we went out to, our friends, of the original 14, it was about, okay, but what have you done? And I was like, look, guys, this is what we're doing. This is the demand that we're seeing, but we can't manage this demand. And we've had conversations with every person in this room, because so it was a proper presentation. We did it at the KPMG building, invited people down, and it was a full, hour and a half presentation about, what we plan to do, what the structure was, what we've done so far. And it was about, the really thing is that, guys, look, we've always spoke about doing something in our community in some way, shape, or form, and we feel that we now have the answer. This is us, and it's always, and people were more encouraged to see that we'd already, put some of our own money up behind this. We're already investing, and we're working through one of the a great piece of advice that Chris Rock has said. He said, I remember he was parked up on the side of the road, and he was trying to get help, and no one was helping him. But when he got out and started pushing his car himself, although he was struggling, people pulled over and started to help him push the car. And this is what I'm trying to say, guys, do something. And so we were able to grow because we were already working on this problem, and we could show people that, look, we need more hands on this problem, we need more focus on this problem, and we need more money on this problem.
Yes. So it's kind of like people saw you pushing, and therefore they pushed.
Start pushing. They were like, no, definitely, this guy is trying to get somewhere.
Very important principle there, I think. Okay, so Esther, can you unmute yourself? You had a question.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was really, really good. I have a question. It might not be clear, so hopefully you can get a question out of it. I was on a call with I think a venture capitalist call with Accelerate Her. Don't know if you've heard of them. And one guy from, is it Index Capital? Anyways, I was on the call, and prior to that call, I didn't even know I was on it. I was just thinking, okay, why am I even on this Zoom call? And then partway through it, I thought, oh, actually, potentially there is potential for people like myself that are in health to get investment, particularly if they think of a way of utilizing tech with it. So I guess the question is that I don't know how many investors do regularly invest in like health type services, because I guess a lot of investment nowadays are going to like tech startups or things that can seemingly scale quite quickly or scale quite big. I kind of wanted to just get some advice on that and what you think people in the health industry should kind of have their ears to the ground about, and how they can seek investments.
Awesome.
And what investors might be looking at.
Okay, no. Great question. Hopefully I'll be able to pull the question out there. But I think the truth is that the reason why tech seems to be the hotspot at the moment is because, to your point, tech is where people are quickly able to see how quick it moves, how quickly it doesn't. You can get the right people around the room to build it quickly. It jumps quickly. In terms of whether you're trying to, as opposed to, let's say, brick and mortar. I understand that I think you mentioned in your presentation that you're trying to locate a location. It's not hard. You have to find a place, then you have to put the bid in, and then there's a process. So people don't like the waiting of a lot of these things. However, just so you know, from venture capital, there are different sectors, what we would call it, and so you have tech, and that's all things tech. So you can have health and social within tech. So just for example, a business that we've seen, they focus on the mentoring of special educational needs children. But what it is that their app allows you to help track their progress, like the type of learning that will be best for them. It can be shared with teachers, parents alike, and they can really track the progress. So that's just done through tech, but that is again about education and how you look to do that. So from a therapy business, so something even like yourself, it's not something, but just an idea. You could easily just having a booking system or online type of sessions, or just having this the high level in terms of type of chat. You can have like therapists that have pre-recorded messages that are able to talk to a lot of common themes, within the Black community. So there's a number of ways to do it, but just so you know is that there are also what we call sector agnostic VCs, and that is they invest in people across the board. So and that's kind of where we fall, i.e., we invest in businesses that use tech heavily. We're investing in Black-owned coffee shops. We invest in Black-owned hair makers, makeup, and all this kind of stuff like that. Because what we're seeing is that as a collective, people maybe not knowing or understanding. So let's say for yourself, had you not been on that call, you may not think that oh, you know what, your business could potentially be suitable for funding at some point in time. But one thing that businesses do want to see is that you've got the traction, that you've already built a brand, that you've already got a product that is able to move. So and people will invest at different stages. So the earlier that you invest, the more risks that you take, and the more percentage of that business you will want. But the later you invest, it's that you've got more tried and tested product, or you've got a clear consumer base, or you're making a certain amount of money on a regular basis. It makes it easier to make the investment decision.
To a question, which is if you could clarify for anybody who's looking to start a business, already has a business, what kind of businesses do you not support? Like what puts you off maybe supporting a business?
Um, so for us, Cornerstone, we are, so even though it's not more publicly kind of marketed, but we do have like Christian values. So anything in and around, like alcohol, pornography, arms dealership, like, or those type of things, we steer very, very clear away from. But for most times, or most businesses, we are looking to take on the opportunity. What we do tend to find is that for us, our criteria is that we want to be working with businesses that already have traction in this space, and already are making a turnover, or bringing in, generating revenue. Our minimum is £50,000 in terms of revenue. It doesn't have to be straight profit, but what that does shows for us is that this is the business that is working. This is a business that is operating. This is a business that is moving, and it's something that we can, and is being taken serious. So where we look to come in, where we look to come in terms of from the gap is that you have a number of incubators. So an incubator, guys, is just in terms of the very initial idea stage. Will help you around your idea, help you understand your idea, help you put it together. But for us is that, once that idea has become something viable, you're doing something with it, you're generating, you have customers or whatever the situation is, that is where we look to come in, and we look to help scale the business. Okay,
good stuff. So if somebody does come with just an idea, for example, they should not really expect support. I mean, this is in general, not necessarily even just Cornerstone. It's just, I guess it's like you're making the point that you can have an idea, but you need to prove it by showing results, and then you get more support. Is that correct?
I think so. For example, like the problem is, the thing about angel investing, and what you have to understand is that for us, we're all doing well in our respective rights. However, it is still our money, and and just to put this in context, guys, it's not a case of when it's like once we've received our paycheck that has already had its tax and all of this stuff deducted, we then take from that and invest into Cornerstone. And to give you an idea, every partner has committed to invest in £50,000 each. So for us, it's a case of if we can't get comfortable with a business that is already operating, already successful, and it's all right, or already shows that this can grow to a point where we want, it would be kind of not ideal for us to invest. Like, for example, for Esther's point is that where Esther business was last year to now, it would have been like, not right now potentially to Esther last year, but now, okay, this is grown, let's have the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's about getting us comfortable, because this is people's actual money that we're dealing with.
Exactly. And do you guys get involved in supporting the business, or is the support the finance?
No. So great question. So to our point, one of the things that we saw from our accelerator is about, we don't know everything, and a lot of people, like, one thing about our community, we're able to do a lot with very little. So it's about, once we come in place. So there's two ways in which we invest in companies. So if you need a debt offering, so for that is a case of, you've gone to a bank, or you've gone to or you're already having a loan, but your terms aren't ideal. You would come to us. We would be able to help you out in terms of, we can buy you out of your previous loan to give you better rates, so that that frees up more cash for you to invest back into the business. Or it's a case of you just need like a stopgap or a bridging loan in order to help achieve something at scale that, again, you've been struggling to get finances. But if your idea, but if the business is fine, but you don't want to give up any equity for that, then that's fine. We're happy to help in that way. But if it's a case of, you do want equity, and two of our companies, and one of them we've recently invested in £170,000, and this is a business, a SaaS business, which looks at how you can, for trainers, also, for booking training sessions with children, that they're working with schools, they're working with some second division, third division clubs, and they have clear plans of operating it, because it can be moved out in different areas. And of course, outside of football, we gave 100K of that in So we gave 70K of that in debt to just help them, build out their product, and then for part of the business, we invested 100K. And what we're looking to do now, we've already started introducing them to a network that we build out of specialist mentors that are able to come in, help them identify opportunities, like stop risk, identify risk, etc. So we are very much involved in the whole entire process.
Great, good stuff. You just kind of answered two questions that have been posted, which is, do you do mentoring? And I think you just alluded to that. And then do you give advice like Dragon's Den? And yeah, I think that's a yes, right? I mean, from what you said.
We do. So I'll go with the latter question first. So advice like Dragon's Den, yep. So there are businesses that come to us on that we see at different part of the process. So we've seen businesses we've seen over 200 businesses. But then if you think about your application, so once you upload what you would call a pitch deck, and this is basically information about you, your company, what you're trying to do, how much you want, etc. Then we put it through our process in terms of, okay, cool, is this viable? Is this investable? X, Y, and Z. So if that is the case, we will either then, if it doesn't fit our thesis, then you get a response in terms of, hi, at this point, we're not in a position that we'll be able to invest, but please come back later, and we can give some high level points if you request them. And then if we invite you to come and pitch to the partnership, and that is more of a Dragon's Den style, then we'd be able to ask a bit more questions, and you go away. And then at that point, if we're comfortable, then we move you on to what we call a due diligence stage. If not, then again we give a more detailed feedback as why we're not in a position to invest at this moment in time. And then during the due diligence stage, this is where we do a deep dive in terms, the accountants, like say that what you have done, what you've achieved, that is the case, so on and so forth. And then we move to the point of where we deploy the cash, and then we work with you long time. And then in terms of mentoring, yes, it comes in different shapes and forms. So we have an intern program that we run, so where we bring people that may have an interest in venture capital, what investing looks like, so different areas. So we've just taken on our second cohort, and then every now and then some of the partners have their own individual type of mentoring aspects and all that kind of stuff like that. So yeah,
so that individual aspect that might cater for people who are specialisms, maybe.
Yeah,
some people who are specialists. Do you mentor specialists, like if you have a specialism in that area? So it depends in terms of from around the table. Again, 20 partners that all have different specialist skills. You have management consultants, you have investment bankers, you have doctors and all that kind of stuff like that. So depending on where it is and where we can add the most value, we'll look to be in terms of who we look to try and partner people up with. Again, based on capacity and time, etc. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Time is flying, and I know we can be here for an extra hour if you're not careful. So I'm going to take one last question from yourself, Fred.
Yeah. So thanks, Fred. Stephen, thanks very much for the presentation. Really helpful and really useful. I hope you can hear me okay. Yeah. Obviously, I would imagine that as in terms of on the incubation side of things, I'm sure that obviously there are contractual and legal elements for individuals when they're signing up to get your support to sort of develop the business. I think it's two sides of the same coin. Where a business hasn't met the requirements of the contract or the agreement, and where the business relationship hasn't worked out. Now, you might be fortunate that that's not happened with Cornerstone, because I think you said it's 5 years it's been running.
Yeah.
Where has that happened, and if it has happened, how have you managed that? Because, like you said, it's angel investment money. And two, if it hasn't happened, what would be your processes to manage that?
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank God it hasn't happened, so we haven't lost any money.
Good news.
And the reason why that hasn't happened, and this is really about the due diligence process in which we have to take. So we have to be extra careful in terms of from a due diligence person, and this is where we're talking really going through, like trolling through, 6 months worth, 6 to 12 months worth of, bank statements, ensuring that, carrying out the correct checks to ensure that, this is the person that, whether, and there are some situations, just trying to identify. We have had a situation where people don't have, let's say, the best credit, but they have great businesses, and it's not more so you have bad credit because of lack of knowledge. As such, so it's a case of, okay, you know what, look, we can help you in this area because this is the reason why you failed to get a bank loan at the time, because you got this and this and you've overlooked this, or so and so there's aspects in which we look to help, but I think the main thing is that the due diligence, and again, because it's not an insurance or our money, or that we can just get the money back for 5 different ways. We are very particular in terms of who and how we invest but we do take things like guarantors, and and in very, very extreme and rare cases we would be prepared to take some form of legal action, but thankfully that's never been the case. We have good relationships, and just so currently in COVID, we're working with a number of our portfolio companies who are unable to pay back, having payment holidays and all this kind of stuff like that, so we are able to manage that relatively well.
Okay, so in the event that the business relationship, let's say, for example, you have a situation like with COVID, for example, where maybe one of the companies goes into administration or might be looking to go into administration. Mm-hmm. How do you think you might handle that?
So currently, so how we look to set up our in terms of our agreement, if it was in terms, so we would be seen as a debtor. So in terms of as that company, God forbid, is getting liquidated, we've structured the agreement in such a way so that we will be one of the first people that they would need to pay out. And so even if it's a case of we don't get all our money back, we're more likely to get something back. We might have people, let's say friends and family and all this kind of stuff like that. So we would be ahead of those people in the queue in terms of to get our money out.
Okay, thanks for that. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Hey, thank you. We're gonna have to end there because that was some really good stuff. Start small, stay focused, be patient. Guys, you can see that this month has just been like a buffet of stuff. And this is like, what do you call it, the dessert.